All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us for Roycemore Upper School for Insiders. This is the first year we've done an event like this. It occurred to us that, one, the pandemic allows us to do things that we wouldn't have thought about before, makes it really easy for us to curate an event that is accessible for our families to participate in who have children here at school, and to do it at the convenience of your home. So thank you for joining us tonight. One thing about Zoom is it makes it a little bit easier for us to connect, and for those of us who have really busy schedules. We created this evening to really introduce our middle schoolers, 7th and 8th graders, to our upper school in a way that you may not have experienced before, because sometimes when you're here in middle school, you think you have a sense of what upper school is like because you've been in the building, you get to know some of the high school kids, but hearing directly from our students and from our teachers and from Mrs. Rivera exactly what that upper school experience is like versus what you imagine it might be, we thought would be really helpful. So we hope you enjoy this evening, and just know that we are here for you to answer any questions you might have in follow-up that aren't answered tonight. And we hope that you will lean in with us and talk with us about anything that you're wondering about in terms of that high school experience. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Rivera, who is going to share with you some more details about the upper school experience.
Thank you, Ms. Finley Odell. I am going to share my screen. All right. So, welcome to Upper School. It's wonderful. I'm so glad that you are all able to join us tonight. As Ms. Finley Odell said, sometimes it's easier to do via Zoom when you can just tune in and you don't have to drive anywhere. So that's great. Super, super cool to see everybody. I want to talk just a little bit about a few things that are both similar and different for middle school and upper school at Roycemore. And advisory is definitely one of those. So for middle school, you have your advisory and your advisors, and they're really a touchstone for you. And that is definitely true of upper school as well. So your advisor for upper school it's all about the relationship. They are your advocate, your adult go-to person on campus. What's different though is that in upper school, you choose your own advisor and you stay with them for all 4 years. So unless you want to switch, which you can do, but you stay with that same advisor, which really allows you to kind of follow that through line of the 4 years with that same person being your touchstone. And there are other things that are similar as well. Upper school does mindfulness practice. We support the kids both on an organizational and social emotional level, as well as in academics. So those things are all very, very similar. I'm really proud of our advisory program. Sometimes we don't do anything but just have fun. So sometimes advisories just eat some food together and hang out and share about their lives, and that's super valuable as well. Here is the wonderful Hanu at his JST. I know you guys all know about JST because we already had our kickoff, which I think some of you were able to join. But I did want to touch on it, basically just to say that you're all pros already. You've been doing P3 and you know how to form your own passion project. And that's really what JST is all about. It's just a continuation of that. And the world is your oyster. We have had kids do all sorts of amazing, amazing things. And I know the upper school students will talk a little bit more about JST later on. One thing I do want to talk about in upper school in particular, we have a lot of opportunity for student voice and choice. So for example, Amrina, who's here tonight, started her own club, as did Suliat, as has China. So really, if you want to do it, go for it. You can start any club. All you need is a sponsor, an adult sponsor, an upper school teacher to sponsor the club, and then students pretty much run it all on their own. It's really, it's pretty tremendous. JST, as I just mentioned, you have a ton of choice. The world is your oyster to explore, something that you're passionate about. Student government is actually another really great way to have your voice be heard and to share your ideas and thoughts about upper school, about the program, about classes you might be interested in. Student government specifically focuses on monthly events. So it's all student-led. I'm the sponsor for that. It's so much fun because I basically don't do anything. Sometimes I sign contracts if I have to for prom, but really the kids do it all. And I'm so proud of their hard work. And of course, and this is true for any high school, but especially so at Roycemore, you're choosing your own classes for the most part. The only classes that have one grade level in them are Foundations of English and World History. But other than that, you're really choosing classes that are really tailored specifically to you and your learning. Additionally, we have some pretty great opportunities to design independent studies. Gosh, I want to say we have maybe 7 or 8 independent studies going on right now. And those are, again, just purely based on student interest. And then you work with a teacher to design your own course. And it's an independent study really in anything that you might want to explore. So that's pretty cool. Northwestern, I'm sure you all are aware that we have the wonderful option to for upper school students to attend classes at Northwestern in a college university setting. It's really, I think, a pretty cool experience, and I'm sure later some of the students will talk more about it. Another thing going on with Northwestern though is our we work with the Osher Lifelong Learning Institute, also known as OLLI, and we have our students, our Roycemore students, who are tutoring lifelong learners in tech, which is a really neat experience and really spans generations, and I think they've all enjoyed that a great deal. So that's another opportunity with Northwestern. I love this picture just because there's so much going on in it. But this is a picture of the first high school creative jam, Adobe Creative Jam, that we hosted in collaboration with the Adobe Corporation at Roycemore last November. As you can see here, it looks quite different from how it looks now. Lots and lots of kids in one space, lots going on. But it was a really cool experience where students developed an app, well, sort of a demo of an app, all centered around the city of Evanston going to zero waste by 2050. So they had to design an app that would help lead Evanston toward that goal. So it was a real life problem solving experience, and students really got to practice their collaboration skills, communication, creativity. All those skills were really put to the test, and it all tied into this real local community problem that they were helping to solve. So that was a neat experience, and we're hoping to do more similar experiences for you guys to build on those skills. Community, well, you guys know a lot about our community, and what's so lovely is that those traditions that we all love, which unfortunately we are either put on pause this year or happening in an unusual way, but those traditions, they still happen in upper school. You still get to go to Wassel, you still have a Griffin buddy, we still do Stand Against Racism, Carnival, all those things. With the added benefit of upper school picnic, which is pretty fun, I might say. It's probably one of my favorite days of the whole year. But those traditions continue on, and that's such a beautiful aspect of our community. And I'm only going to talk a little bit about college acceptance. You guys will have a chance to, our college counseling experience. You guys will have a chance to ask Mauricio Robert questions later. He's our amazing new college counselor. So if you have more specific questions for him, you can ask those during the panel time. But just to kind of put it in a nutshell, we really work really hard to prepare all of our students for college and beyond, for success in college and beyond. And that starts with Mr. Robert, who really curates these amazing, amazing, really individualized lists for each and every student. And here's just another, I just love this graphic. I didn't make it, Miss Finley Odell did. It's really great. It just kind of gives you a beautiful overview. These are some of last year's seniors. Yeah. And then this, I love this quote. Oh, hold on, I'm gonna try to see if I can minimize this. There we go. I love this quote. This is Kati, who graduated year before last. I think Roycemore prepared me to be comfortable speaking up in class and to my professors. During my freshman seminar class, many of the students were uncomfortable speaking during class discussions. Because this was something required at Roycemore, now I'm perfectly comfortable talking in class and meeting my professor during office hours to ask questions. So as you can see, Kati was super, super well prepared, maybe even more so than, as she says, many of her classmates. Riley, also 2019 graduate. Going into an international program as a freshman, I was unsure how my French abilities would compare to the rest of the group. I was pleasantly surprised to find that I was one of the strongest speakers in the program, even alongside older students. So again, a really lovely example of how beautifully we set students up for success in college and beyond. Great, and I'm going to pass things on now to Amanda Avery.
Well, thanks for sharing all that great info, Mrs. Rivera. So I just wanted to share a little bit about our merit scholarship that is offered. It's the one merit-based scholarship that we offer at Roycemore. It is the Robert Eisner Scholarship. Robert Eisner was an economist. He supported our school in so many ways. He was a very supportive member of the community as a whole. His wife, Edie, is still on our board as an honorary member. And she was also a teacher at Roycemore. So the scholarship was essentially put into place in Robert Eisner's honor. And so some of you may know about the scholarship because you may have either received it if you're on the panel or are applying for it for the 21-22 school year. So it's open to students who are rising 9th and 10th graders, so current 8th and 9th graders. And it's an opportunity for students to receive a full tuition merit-based scholarship for all of high school, as long as they maintain a 3.0 GPA and are a good citizen of the school. And those are some of the requirements to apply, having a 3.0 and scoring in the 75th percentile in your math or reading. But really, we look at students who apply for the scholarship as being very well-rounded. Students who want to take an active role in their education, students who are involved. So it could be that you're involved at Roycemore, or it could also be for students who are applying to Roycemore from outside of the school. So the deadline for the 21-22 scholarship is quickly approaching. It is actually on Monday of next week. But if you are interested and have not applied or are in the process of completing your application, the full Eisner page is on our website under admissions. So feel free to jot down or take a photo of the very long link here on the slide. But again, we're really interested in providing opportunities to students who are involved, who are leaders, demonstrating all of those wonderful things, are committed to social justice and equity, and all around good people, which is all of you guys. So let us know if you have questions with that. All right, so now we're going to move into our panel discussion. So Mrs. Rivera and I could share information all day long, but what we really want is for you to hear from our students, We want you to hear from one of our alums who is here with us today. And we're also going to give our teachers and Mr. Robert, our college counselor, a chance to speak a little bit. So what we're going to do is I'll have all my panelists turn your video back on, please. Back on. All right, so all of our wonderful panelists are here. The high school students who you see on the panel today are students who were at Roycemore in middle school and are now in upper school. So they have had that chance to transition from middle to high school. So they're kind of in your position now, all of you who are attending today, as 7th and 8th graders, looking towards the upper school and what that transition might look like. So I'm just going to go through and I will introduce the panelists that will speak next, and I'll ask them a question and then they can unmute themselves and respond to the question. And our friend Rachel Ashley was going to be with us today. I think she may have had to go to another meeting, so I don't believe she's here. I just want to give her a chance. I don't think so. We'll make sure to check in with her later, but she wanted to help today. Rachel's in our 9th grade. So our next panelist is Amrina Ahmed. Amrina is a senior, and Amrina has been with us for quite a long time. She can talk a little more about that experience. But I wanted to ask Amrina, what are the benefits of staying at Roycemore for upper school?
Okay. Hi, I'm Amrina. I'm a senior. So I've been at Roycemore for this is actually my first private school that I've ever been to my entire life. So I've been at Roycemore since 4th through 8th, and then I went off to another selective private high school. Then I came back for 11th and 12th. And so I basically chose Roycemore to go into as my first private school at all, like ever, was because of the fairly understandable admissions process. Like, even as a 4th grader, as I was looking around at other schools, other admissions processes were kind of unfair and like unnecessary, whereas Roycemore was more like they talk to you and try to understand what type of student you were. So that's why I thought it was the best fit for me for middle school and lower school, and it did turn out to be the best fit because I was allowed to advance in all the areas that I needed to be advanced in, such as mathematics. I was allowed to skip a grade. Hanu also skipped a grade after I skipped a grade. So like a lot, as you can see, it's very flexible for you. You can pretty much tailor the courses to what you need it to be, even as a freshman. Like you don't have to be taking those intro level courses like at a public high school. You maybe have to take like English 1 or like Algebra 1 or something like that. You're allowed to really go as high as you really want. There's no ceiling. And I realized that because in 8th grade, I was very advanced, and then I transferred to another selective private high school called Lake Forest Academy, and I hit a ceiling there, and I wasn't allowed to go any further, and that actually brought me back a grade in some courses that I was advanced in. So then I came back to Roycemore, and I was able to lift that. I was able to go high again, and it made me realize that Roycemore's high school is very unique, very different, and it's very flexible to what you would need in order to have that firm base before applying to college. And some ways that Roycemore really helps me prepare myself for college is through a few ways. So there's JST, January short term. You guys probably heard it when Ms. Rivera was talking about it. I've only done one JST so far, but in that 3 weeks that I was able to explore my passions and interests, I was able to step into an operating room and look for myself if I wanted a medical career, if I wanted to pursue pre-medicine in college. And I was able to do that. And I didn't have to spend my summer vacation doing that or my spring vacation doing that. And then I was able to talk to parents and teachers about it afterwards. And it was something that I really was able to take something I've learned from a classroom and incorporate it into my outside activities, something like that. So that's one reason why Roycemore's high school is very different from any other high school from my experience. And that's another reason why I prefer Roycemore's high school personally. And another reason is the Northwestern dual enrollment option. You don't have to be, even if you might think that you're not as advanced as you might be, there's so many things you can do with that Northwestern connection that Roycemore has. You can do research, you can reach out, you can participate in a language course. a math course, especially if you are really advanced or really passionate about math or some subject that you really think that you could further with a more rigorous course at Northwestern, you're allowed to do it. There's no, oh, maybe you should do this over the summer and see if you actually like it. There's no prerequisites, no harsh prerequisites. There are prerequisites, but they're not harsh prerequisites where you are absolutely lost and you just give up. And I came back to Roycemore only for 1 year in the high school, and I'm taking a Northwestern course. So I think that's a very special aspect about Roycemore's high school curriculum. It's really there for you to just put the puzzle pieces together however you want. It's not made for you. You make it for yourself. And I feel like academics aside, a lot of the extracurricular opportunities at Roycemore are very unique compared to other schools. At other schools, there's a lot of, from my experience, there's a lot of competitiveness between students. There's less collaborative. There's a lot of competition about getting to those leadership positions, like starting a club or like leading in student government. Whereas here, it's like, you don't even have to be an officer to have a voice in student government. Like, you can just be a member and still have just as a voice as the president does. You don't have to fight to be the president in student government. You can try out an officer such as class rep, and then you can go to vice president, you can go to president. It's very flexible, and students are willing to help you get to that point. So from my experience, and I'm not trying to like be mean to my other school, but like from my experience, Roycemore is the better option, and it will help you prepare for college way better. It'll help you with your social skills. It'll help you with your leadership skills. You will learn how to collaborate, even if you're not someone who's like, oh, I like to start clubs, or like, oh, I like talking to people. You will learn how to grow into it. You'll learn how to do that, and it won't be like in a forceful way either. It's like very tailored to how you want it to be, basically. And then at the same time, like I said, like there's a lot of college preparation. The curriculum is rigorous, like every other school might be, but you also have an opportunity to put yourself in a position where you can learn like firsthand what a college experience might be. So yeah, that's why I recommend Roycemore's upper school.
Thanks, Amrina. We appreciate your honesty. All right, so next is Prahlad Lola. Prahlad is a junior and also an Eisner Scholar. Prahlad, your question is, please share how receiving the Eisner Scholarship has had a positive impact on your experience at Roycemore.
Well, first of all, besides it being a help financially, me coming to a private school and having that cost completely covered, it pushed me to be more responsible with my own education and my own, because there was that healthy, I think, thing to stay at a certain level. And even though a 3.0 GPA I think is pretty reasonable, like it definitely is in the back of my mind always, and I always want to strive to be better, to do better, and be successful. And I think that's just something that I've felt that I've always had, that drive to do well. And this helped me stay more focused on that, because there is this opportunity that I've been given, and I'm so thankful, and I want to keep that. And so I think that's something that's really helped me like stay on track when I'm in class and during my classes. And like I said, like Roycemore, one thing I really liked about it is I could stay at whatever level I wanted. Like I could go ahead, and other schools may not. And so the Eisner Scholarship has allowed me to do that. And so that's my biggest, I guess, thing that I've taken away from that. That's really helped me in my academic life.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing, Prahlad.
Yeah. Well.
All right. Next is Alex Murphy. Alex is a 9th grader. Alex, your question is similar to Amrina. So please share about your transition to the high school from Roycemore's middle school, and why you chose to stay at Roycemore for upper school.
So I chose to stay at Roycemore for upper school because the Chicago high school application process is has a lot of stress on students, and it's very competitive with all the selective enrollments. and I just didn't want to deal with that stress. And I liked Roycemore in 8th grade, so I decided to stay because of that. And the transition was very smooth, even with COVID. It was really easy to ease into all the classes, and the considering scheduling wise, it wasn't that different because like in middle school you still go to different classes, so it's just like the block schedule was the block schedule, whatever it's called, was the only thing that really was a big transition. And all the teachers were really nice and just helped you if you had trouble transitioning. And
Awesome. Thanks, Alex. And I forget, did you shadow in the upper school last year while you were an 8th grader?
no.
Okay. So that's an opportunity, just so the students who are listening in today who are 7th and 8th graders know that right now it's a little bit different with our cohorting, but we would like to give you opportunities if you're interested in shadowing, some virtual shadows in the upper school, so you can see kind of a sneak peek of classes. Normally it would be in person, but of course the way that the cohorting is happening now, it would be a little bit more virtual.
I would just say
Oh, go
that
ahead.
shadowing is really helpful. I knew Roycemore like my entire life, and I still shadowed while I was going into junior year, so shadow if you can. It's really helpful.
Thanks, Amrina. Thank you, Alex. Did you have anything else to add, Alex? I kind of jumped in on you. Sorry about that.
No, not really.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. All right. So next is, let's see, I want to make sure I get all of our panelists here. Lisa Condorat. Lisa is in our 10th grade. Lisa, can you share a little bit about the JST program, the January short term that Mrs. Rivera talked a little bit about before, and some of the opportunities you've taken part in for JST?
Yeah, so some JSTs I've done was last year. One was called Movies and Foodies. So that's where we watched movies that had to do with food, and we either made the food from the movies or we went out and got some to taste it. And it was a great experience because, we learned about like the different cultures of from where the food came from and stuff. So that was really cool. Some other JST opportunities. So one of my friends, Emery, actually, so she shadowed a surgeon. So that was pretty cool. Other students, they volunteer at animal shelters, and some students, improve their musical skills and stuff. So, and I'll type my other insert in the chat too. So, yeah.
That's perfect. Thank you so much for sharing. It's a wide array of options. And Mr. Harine, who is our JST coordinator, is here with us today, so we'll probably hear from him in a little bit too. All right. Next is Hanu Snyder. Hanu is a senior. Hanu, your question is, what leadership roles have you taken on at Roycemore, and how has Roycemore prepared you for the future?
Yeah, thank you. I think that Roycemore has really made me feel like a leader because, before I really got to Roycemore, I didn't really feel like a leader. I didn't feel like I was someone who, started things and just kind of did things because, sometimes I would be nervous to, get started or even join some clubs. But at Roycemore, I think that I've really become someone who, does things outside the classroom and starts my own initiatives. For example, we this year kind of restarted our GSA, and now we're pretty involved. We have lots of new members, and it's been really helpful for me and for I think all the other kids involved. This year, I've been elected as the Vice President of Student Government, and that definitely, is a leadership role. Dealing with issues within, people, what people bring to us, and then, figuring out events. I also started the math club in the lower school, and although it's it's a little bit different than some of the other clubs, and it works a little bit differently. It's actually really fun because you get to, with some other high school students, teach lower school and middle school kids math in ways that aren't necessarily the things that they learn in the classroom. I also am the cross country co-captain. I mean, before COVID kind of ruined that, and also scholastic bowl captain. But I think that some other ways that Roycemore has made me a leader is the fact that I've done an independent JSD every single year. So I'm getting to do exactly what I want to do, and not being afraid to try new things. Yeah.
Awesome. And do you mind, do you want to share what you're going to do this year for JST?
This year I don't exactly have it down yet, but we're
you're working on it.
Yeah.
You're going to get to it. Yeah. Cool. Awesome. I'm sure it'll be
I'll give him
something
a
really cool.
contract going. Let's go, buddy.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, Mr. Karine is here.
Hanu, you should share what you did last year for JST.
Yeah, so last year I worked with a Roycemore parent who's also an architect to investigate makerspaces, which are places where students can work with digital fabrication software and collaborate to do 3D printing, laser engraving, and other things you can't really do inside the classroom. So I went to, I believe, 4 different makerspaces. I visited 2 different architecture studios, and I also designed a makerspace for Roycemore. So it was a really helpful JST because architecture is what I want to study in college. So it was a really good way to prepare myself for what I want to do in the future.
Yeah, it was an amazing project that you did. Thank you so much for sharing. All right. Well, we also today, I think I covered all of our current students who are panelists with us. One of our alums is here with us, Suliat Bakare, who is a 2020 graduate. Suliat, your question has to do with, of course, college. Please tell us how Roycemore prepared you for college and beyond, and what opportunities at Roycemore were especially meaningful for you.
So hi everyone, I'm Suliat. I think one of the things I really appreciated about Roycemore was how we were encouraged to be independent. Because before I came, I would shy away from a lot of stuff. So I was encouraged to try a lot of clubs. I was encouraged to try acting, musicals and stuff, things I would normally never do. So it made me like really courageous. And another thing that I really loved was JST, being able to be independent to search for the opportunity that I wanted. Like for my first JST, I had an internship at a Northwestern molecular biology lab. So that was a very nice experience, I started like kind of pursuing my career, trying to test the waters and see, okay, would I really enjoy this? So yeah, it was nice to be able to, take that initiative to, think of exactly what I wanted to do and, look for the opportunity. That was really nice. And also how GST is structured, we have to like apply for it. So you have to make a contract, which is like really huge, kind of a big deal because you have to, put out your goals. You have to lay out your plan, which I think really helped me. And so now I'm currently looking for research opportunities here. So it's kind of like similar. So I'm not as, I don't find it as intimidating as I would if I hadn't experienced anything like that. Yeah, and just starting college now, before I went to college, everything was, like, oh my God, college. It was really like intimidating. But, being able to, be a leader in Roycemore, encouraged to be independent, be a leader was really helpful. So I'm not as intimidated by a lot of things. I'm working with a lot of people. I'm applying for leadership positions here. And yeah, I think Roycemore is a place that cultures leaders and trailblazers. And I'm really glad that I got to experience that.
Thank you, Suliat. What are you majoring in now? What are you studying?
I'm currently majoring in biology. So.
Awesome. And she's got a really cool dorm room. Thank you, Suliat. All right. Well, we also wanted to give everyone a chance to hear from our Director of College Counseling, Mr. Robert. So Mr. Robert is on our panel today, and I wanted to ask him to share a little bit about the college counseling program at Roycemore, what that looks like, and really how he supports students through that process.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Yeah, I'll take a moment to answer that question. So my approach to college counseling is, above all, a student-centric process. I think that the best way to achieve post-secondary success is to start having conversations early regarding the types of things that students are passionate about. I think that communication is really key in the type of work I'm doing here at Roycemore. And as a counselor, I'm never here to force decisions on my students. I work with both students and families to get a better feel for, what students' personal strengths are, what their interests are, and I want to make sure that the colleges I'm proposing are good matches that help foster growth in whatever those areas happen to be. At Roycemore, I'm here as a facilitator to help students discover and channel those passions as best as they can. Now, I understand that, you're all young and it might be intimidating to think about things that seem really far away, like professional goals, but high school really serves as an excellent opportunity for self-exploration, not just academically, but also personally. High school is going to be a lot of work, but I want everyone to understand that it's supposed to be more than just about getting good grades or doing well on test scores. Ideally, I hope that my work, and guidance can help you all better discover what post-secondary success would look like for each of you, and how you might be able to contribute to both your school and local communities along the way. More than anything, I guess I want you all to understand that high school is such an important developmental period in your lives. And the choices you all make over these 4 years, they really do count. Don't let anyone tell you that you should wait until college to explore your passions. It's never too soon to start reflecting on the types of things that you find to be personally fulfilling. And more than anything, don't be afraid to make mistakes. I'll be here to guide you all along the way as a resource, and above all, as an advocate. Yeah, so that's my personal philosophy and approach to the work.
Thank you, Mr. Robert. We appreciate you being here and sharing your insights. We also have some teachers here with us who I wanted to give each of them a moment to introduce themselves, their role at Roycemore, and just also wanted to, before we do that, mention that Lisa did post, because she was having some technical issues, she posted a little more info about JST in the chat, so you can take a read of that. But let's see, I see Mr. Harine first in my panelist grouping over here, so if you want to introduce yourself and talk about your role at the school, that'd be great.
Well, good evening, everybody. I'm Bill Harine. I am a history teacher. If freshmen are coming in, your freshmen would all be in my world history class. And I love my freshman classes. I taught at large public high school for a long time, and I hadn't taught freshmen for a while. When I came to Roycemore, they asked if I would teach the world history class, and I've loved it. I'm really happy that I have the freshmen every year. And it's so much fun to see them come through the 4 years of high school. I can keep an eye on every single one of them. I teach AP American History, so I'm involved in the AP program. I've been an AP reader. I've been a consultant for the College Board, running seminars for other AP teachers, and have had pretty good success with for a lot of kids, what is their first AP experience at Roycemore. We have a lot of 10th graders taking AP American, and so it's oftentimes the first AP class that they get when they're in Roycemore. And then I teach social studies electives. I've taught law, politics. I'm teaching an anthropology course right now. I'll have geography in the spring. I've taught world religions. So a wide array of elective classes that students can choose after they've finished world history. The other role that I have at Roycemore is that I'm the coordinator of the JST program. And you've heard some things about JST. I'll say right now is our hot hopping time in JST because students are preparing those contracts that Lisa was talking about and Hanu was talking about, submitting them to the JST committee, a committee which is composed of staff members and students who review the contracts and determine whether or not students are ready to enter the projects that they've applied for, or if they need to do some more work in preparation. Sometimes they have to polish up their learning goals. Sometimes if it's an independent project, they need to define the outline of that project a little better, something like that. And the committee, students have a voice on that committee, just as important as the staff members. I always listen to the critiques and the commentary from my student members and give that equal weight to my faculty partner that I have working with me, Ms. Katie Carson. And so we're in the midst of collecting contracts. We met yesterday for the first time this fall. We reviewed about 25 contracts, approved 18, sent a few back for students to revise and to work on. And so, in fact, some people here may have gotten contracts handed back to them to do some revision about. And hopefully, you know, by the time we start carving turkey, we'll have pretty much everybody situated in the JST project that they have selected and planned for themselves for this year. And so if you have questions about JST, as you're looking at your student moving up and coming into the upper school, feel free to shoot me an email or contact me at any time. I have no problem talking with people about the program. So that's me.
Thank you, Mr. Harine. That was really helpful. Thanks for being here. Well, Miss Henry, I see next on my panelist line here. Can you introduce yourself and talk a little bit about your role, please?
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'm Shannon Henry. I am one of 2 upper school science teachers. I teach biology, chemistry, AP Bio, and AP Chem, and then different electives each year. Our other science teacher, Dr. Dudek, takes physics and AP Physics, and again, several electives depending on the year. And so usually with incoming 9th graders, I tend to see a lot of them in biology. But the nice thing about our science program is you don't have to take our classes in any particular order. So you take 3 years at least of science. One of those years has to be biology, but you can do really whatever set of courses that you want. So if a student just has no interest in chemistry for some strange reason, they don't have to ever take chemistry. They could go more into physics or anatomy or whatever they're interested in. This year I've also been involved with the science club, which one of our students started brand new this year. So that's been a lot of fun as well, getting to do some fun projects there.
Thank you. And can you share, because it's really awesome, about your JST project this year with Dr. Dudek?
Yeah, so we're really excited about it. Dr. Dudek and I are partnering with Dr. John Rogers at Northwestern. He is involved in looking into wearable electronics. And so he is very generously giving us 2 types of devices for our students to play around with. So he's got a sweat patch that can go on your arm, or really anywhere, I guess. And it has little tiny tubes in it that can collect samples of sweat, and you can then analyze the different chemicals in the sweat, the pH, all sorts of data collection. And there's really cool applications for that. Dr. Rogers is currently working with Gatorade. Actually, they're trying to use these little devices to make personalized Gatorade formulas for athletes based on their particular workouts, which sounds really cool. And then the other one that we'll be using is a little device that goes right on your throat, and it can measure different vibrations. And so we can track different things such as breathing and talking, coughing, singing, really anything, heartbeats. So we can do cool sleep studies. They've been using this to help research COVID patients. and we might be able to get our hands on some of that data to take a look at. So it should be really fun.
That is just amazing. I can't wait to see what you guys do with that. That's so cool. Thank you for sharing. And last but not least is Mr. Kevin McCaffrey. Can you introduce yourself and share a little bit about your role and maybe also about your JST project?
Oh my goodness. Okay. Hi, everybody. Kevin McCaffrey here. So freshman year, what I try to do is have the students experience 3 of the 4 major genres in literature. We read poetry, we read short stories, we read 1 dramatic work, a play, and then 1 quarter we do a research paper. So you get a little bit of everything in freshman year. And then the next year, pretty good chance that you'll take a class called novels and nonfiction, where you read the other genre, novels, a longer piece. And with every novel, you read some associated or connected nonfiction. So this first quarter in the novels class, we read Frankenstein, and then we read science articles and education articles and philosophy articles related to the writing of and the whole controversy over Frankenstein. So those are the kind of classes that you'll probably take as freshmen and perhaps sophomores. Ms. Avery asked me just to talk a little bit about JST. So I've never done one before. So I launched my JST this year with a topic called Are Musicals a Good Way to Learn History? Because I'm also a history teacher. So we will be watching 4 and perhaps 5 musicals and trying to figure out how well those musicals actually portray history. So I don't know if I want to spill the beans on all my musicals, but they're musicals everybody would probably know, with the exception of 1. They're pretty famous musicals. And are they really good history? Do we learn anything by watching them? So I'm really excited about that. I don't know who signed up, so Mr. Harine, don't spoil the secret on me. But I'm looking forward to teaching that. And I'd love to talk to any student or family about how we try to do things in the English department.
Thank you, Mr. McCaffrey. That project I need to also hear about afterward. That sounds awesome.
You got to do the work, though.
I know. Yeah, right. I'll take part.
Okay, all right.
Thank you. All right. Well, I wanted to thank everyone for joining us this evening. It has just been great to hear from all of our panelists. Give them a virtual round of applause. Thank you for taking the time to share a little bit about your experience at Roycemore, how it's prepared you, how you're involved. Everyone's amazing. And for all of you attending this evening, please reach out to me with questions. Reach out to Mrs. Rivera with questions, Mrs. Finley Odell. We're all happy to be here as resources for you. We want you to have your questions answered and feel like you are completely in the know when it comes to the upper school. And we really hope you're considering the upper school at Roycemore. So I'm going to turn it over maybe to Steph and Adrian to say a goodbye, but otherwise, thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful evening.
Thanks, everyone. And if you want to continue, log off and log back in a few minutes for our health and safety town hall, because I will be there. Have a good evening. Thanks.
Bye-bye. Thank you.